And with public adjusting, like I said, there's a high, and there is a high to it of, settling some really complex and technical claims. There's also a mountain that, is built very quickly and a lot to tend to all of the time. It's a complex business, but it's also a profitable one. I've seen that some agencies, like they train prior to placement, they go through like a week of training. Like you and I both know that like you aren't going to know anything after a week of training. You may have a little bit of directional orientation, but like that's about it. I made the decision not to go through the exact same cycle of investment in the business. And I look at it as just deciding what opportunity you're going to take, because you do have capital to keep investing and trying to build out this thing, or taking the opportunity and really thinking about like, what is my end goal? How do I want to spend my time? And, in these quadrants of life of like your physical being, your spiritual being, your educational, self, and your family.
Welcome everybody back to the show, the virtual week of our Beyond the Claim podcast. And I'm very excited because we have what's the word I'm looking for? Like I can't think of the word, like an inner child brother from another mother, right? Like we're like twin souls. My twin soul. That's a better way of saying it. Cole Kline, owner, CEO, extraordinaire, entrepreneur, now is the owner, founder of Edge Virtual Assistants, formerly the owner and founder, or probably still, so I'm not saying formerly, of Hope Public Adjusters. If you are a public adjuster and you do not know Cole Kline, well, you are not in the know, because Cole is the guy to know. He's someone who I respect dearly, that I look up to, that I am very privileged to call not only a entrepreneurial acquaintance, but also a personal friend, and one in which we are going together to Argentina to summit the largest and tallest mountain in all of South America. Cole, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Vince. And technically the largest mountain outside of Asia. So not to negate.
Oh, it's like, well, yeah, but I mean, in Asia, in the Himalayas, there's like 10 of them.
Yeah.
Don't the Himalayas have like 8 of the top 10, something like that?
Yeah, they have a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the largest outside of Asia. So
No, Denali's higher.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Denali's taller. We're gonna have to search it. But anyway, I digress. Cole, like myself, has climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. Cole, like myself, has climbed Mount Everest to Mount Everest Base Camp, which is why together we are going to, in January, we are going together to summit Mount Aconcagua in Argentina. I'm pretty excited about that.
Pretty crazy that you have a really similar journey in mountaineering that I do coming into this really big next mountain.
No, dude, I don't think we do, because I'm from Miami. The tallest mountain we have in Miami, you know what it is? It's a fucking landfill.
Similar in Indiana. We're like
Is
700. Yeah, we're flat, 700 feet above sea level.
Mm.
There's nothing here. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess it's similar. Yeah, I mean, I was conned by my cousin to climb Kilimanjaro, and I remember his words. His words were, "Oh, it's not that bad." And I trained. I did what I can. I'm gonna do a similar training. It's just a lot of running, a lot of legs, and a lot of incline on the treadmill. I'm trying to see if I could work out a trip to Colorado for a few days to just maybe trek like a 13er or something like that. But I'm gonna just do the best I can and get my ass up there. But I already told you I'm gonna need your help at that. I swear, if my cousin would have just said, "Okay, let's go down," I would have not summited Kilimanjaro, because we were at the last, you already know, you've been there. So we're like at the last stretch of it, and I'm in the back and he's in the front, and there's like 7 of us. All of a sudden the line stops and it's like snowing like crazy. I mean, it was a freaking storm. And I'm in the back and we stop and I'm just waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. And all of a sudden we start moving again. But I look up and everybody's passing my cousin. And I'm like, oh no, something's wrong. I look at my cousin. I mean, his eyes were just like out to here. His nose looked like it had frostbite on it. I don't know. I'm from Florida. I don't even know what frostbite looks like, but it looked like frostbite to me. You could see he was just gassed. I said, "Cuz, are you all right? Is everything okay?" He's like, "Man, I'm just really, really tired." So I go to August. August is our lead guide, and I'm like, "Dude, I don't think my cousin's good. I think we need to go back down." Honestly, subconsciously, I just didn't want to go anymore. I wanted to go back down. And he goes to my cousin and he goes, "How are you feeling?" And he goes, "I'm tired." And then he goes, "Okay, are you just tired? Are you dizzy?" He's like, "No." "Are you nauseous?" "No." "Keep going." And I go, "Dude," I go to my cousin, I said, "if you want to go back down, we can go back down. Just let me know. Because if you can't do it, I get it. I'll go down with you." And he goes, I swear to God, he goes, "Just take me up that fucking mountain." And now my reaction was like, oh, I didn't want to go anymore, man. It was rough.
What time did you guys leave for Summit? Did
Like
you
at
end up?
11 or 11:30. And we didn't get there till like, I don't know, like 7 or 8 a.m. I mean, it was like a good 8 or 9 hours that we were trekking.
Yeah. So
I
not
remember just wanting to sleep. I wanted to just go to sleep. Every time I fell in a ditch of snow, I just wanted to stay there and just sleep, knowing that there is no way a helicopter could come get me up here. I will just die and freeze to death, so I might as well just get out. But, did you have that much snow? You didn't have any snow.
we did once we got above like 16,000 feet. There, I mean, you can still see the glaciers up there. So we were trekking through snow. We left at 1 a.m. We summited at like 6:30. My group was a
Yeah.
small group though. And yeah, we trekked through snow, but it wasn't the conditions you guys were.
It was brutal. I would fall in the snow and I would be hip deep. And then to get out, the amount of energy that takes to get out, it was just like you just wanted to stay in there because you knew that getting out was just going to destroy you. And it was brutal. There was one guy in our crew there. I don't even know how. People were like legitimately worried about him. My other cousin that I was with, he turned around like at around, I don't know, probably like about an hour or two after we started. It was it was rough. Our trek, our guide, August, the next day he was blind. My cousin was blind. It was all snow blindness, like legit blind. They could not see. One of the guys from China, he's a pilot. He was like freaking out because he was concerned that his career was over from the snow blindness.
Wild. Yeah, so big one coming up. I appreciate the introduction. So for those who don't know me, run Hope Public Adjusters. We've been around for about a decade. Um, the technical guys working on large loss claims. Average claim size between like 2 and 500,000. We also dip our toes in the multi-million-dollar range. Last year, settling a $5.2 million loss, and the year before a 7.89. And started on residential, where we learned to cut our teeth. Um, I also said as president of APIA, the American Association of Public Insurance Adjusters, for pretty long term, about a year and a half. We did a lot of legislative. Um, we had a lot of legislative efforts in different states: Kentucky, South Carolina, Illinois, Indiana, all over the country, fighting bad legislation against public adjusters. So, Public Adjuster Association. And now I run Edge Virtual Assistants, which is the changing of a chapter for me personally. Going from running a public adjusting firm for about a decade and just kind of into this next thing. So taking that professional skill set and applying it here. We're doing some really cool stuff, which I'm sure we'll talk about. And so that's the transition that moving to. We're placing full-time team members into mostly roofing companies, public adjusting firms, and a little bit about me.
Yeah, well, I could relate to the transition. Another reason why we're twin souls. Cole, you were nice enough to invite me onto a mastermind that we were a part of for a while, which is still going on. Of entrepreneurial public adjusters. I really do appreciate that. That was freaking amazing. We did that for quite a while. How do you feel now that you're working as a owner of a virtual assistant company? what you learned as a public adjuster and running Hope for quite some time. What is it that you learned, and how is it giving you an advantage running Edge?
Great question. So running a public adjusting firm's really great vehicle. And it has been for me and my family, and it's created just some tremendous, opportunities, financially for us, and it's opened a lot of doors. Also, created a lot of education for myself. Public adjusting is just a really, really complex vehicle to manage when you really try to grow a firm. A lot of public adjusters are solo operators or really small teams. And so when you get into managing a team like we were of like 23 people operating in, like up to 28 states, like 14 on a regular basis. Um, there's a lot of legislation that you keep track of, every single state and how that changes. You live in the state that changes the most, Florida. And, but that's happening all over the country. Like I mentioned, with being a part of Appia. So keeping up with contract requirements, licensure requirements, and just all the legislative stuff that comes with running a firm nationally. Um, and so it's a really complex vehicle because of how you hire in employees, the licensing they have to have before they can start to participate in activities like salespeople that really aren't doing adjusting but are soliciting claims. And so Edge is a lot simpler of a vehicle. Yeah, it's a lot simpler. We are teaching technical skills of, estimating. We call it supplementing, but really it's like deconstructing, inspection versus estimate, and what the carrier is missing, and then how to follow up and produce results on claims. So we're still teaching these technical skills, but it's cool to get to work with so many different companies and really be able to make an impact in their businesses. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. Like, you can't even hire as a public adjuster. It's difficult to say even hire salespeople, because if they're not licensed, you can get whacked for that of the unlicensed practice of public adjusting. The other part that I just could never get past, that we always talked about it, is no matter how big you get, you're still always chasing that next claim. Like, it's always, even if you have a huge pipeline, if you got great referral sources, like, anytime you want to go to the next level, you just have to chase that other claim and chase more claims. And then you want to chase large losses. Then you want to start chasing fire losses because it's more bang for your buck. But you can't say no to the small ones because that's sort of like the bread and butter. And it's just like, I felt that, after 16 years, it's just like this endless like thing that when I was a one-man shop or when I was a 23-man shop, it was still almost like the same issue. And I couldn't just go and say, hey, let me just get a bunch of door knockers, or hey, let me just get a bunch of cold callers, or just, hey, let me get a bunch of salespeople, because then you have to put them through the license process. And it's just like, it's just a real mission. But it is true what we talk about all the time. It's like, I feel like we went through a very long boot camp, boot camp of what real entrepreneurship is like, when you're not only dealing with the struggles of the actual running of the business and the growing of the business, but you're also dealing with so many outside factors that affect the actual running of your business. And it becomes very, very difficult.
I think that there's a high with winning claims. I say
Mm-hmm.
winning the claim. Not that you're winning, but you're proving beyond a reasonable doubt that you were correct. And it's an effort, right? It's like it's a total push, and there's a high behind the reaching a final settlement, and it's a great feeling. And a totally different experience of working a claim than running a firm, right? And it's more of you're more in the business owner's seat of it. And we talked a little bit about mountains, and I got really lucky. I don't know actually your experience with Everest Base Camp, but my experience, I got really lucky and got to go with Mike Posner, pop singer Mike Posner, in October of 22. And man, I just had the most magical experience. We got like concerts on the way up. Nepal in itself is like this very just magical place where like religion and spirituality is like wrapped in every corner. It's just incredible. And from that, I was also introduced to Wim Hof. which, I became a certified Wim Hof method instructor earlier.
That's why you're gonna get me up this thing once I decide to quit. And you're like, nah, let's go.
Yeah. Cold plunging and Wim Hof all the way up. Um, but it was a crazy experience for me. And that was kind of the unraveling of, or like the starting to shift of the chapters. That's when I kind of realized like my passions growing up were um, motocross and like doing all this like fun stuff. I'm into like mountain biking, been like paragliding for doing just like kind of like that action sport athlete type stuff, which can disappear in the building of a business. I don't think that's, unique to me. I think most entrepreneurs go through this cycle where you put your head down and go to work. And so Everest was very much this like getting back to roots kind of experience, and really made me be thoughtful about how I was spending my time, what I was spending my time on, and so started to kind of restructure this very intentional plan for what I wanted to build next.
How do you have it set up now? How do you have Hope set up now?
Yeah, so we've got a really low number of claims. I started to deconstruct my public adjusting firm the end of last year. We had quite a few team members. So I say we offloaded our team members, but really most of them transitioned over to Edge and are still working, I want to say for, but with me at Edge, and are just incredible team members. So like we have Kevin, who was our longest running public adjuster at Hope. He's running our training department. Justin, who's been a public adjuster for like 10, 11 years, is part of our sales team. A lot of our staff are running our support coach. Some of our support coaches came from Hope and are now working at Edge. We've got our operations manager, our internal staff, all from the public adjusting firm. But we started to deconstruct and basically dwindle it down to basically one assistant and myself to help close out claims, because you can't just turn them off. There's a long runway to close out. So we haven't signed anything. We've signed like 2 claims in 2025. Haven't really signed anything new. And I decided that I was only going to take on multi-million-dollar claims moving forward, not a high number of them, and truly just focus on building, Edge virtual assistants and making it something special.
What was that like when you told the team? Like, was it a conversation with the whole team, or was it with one individual? Because I had 2 separate meetings. I had one meeting with my public adjusters, and I had a separate meeting with my staff. And my conversation with my public adjusters was everybody's sort of on their own, right? So like I switched to a more ownership style type of firm where they're all getting 70%. And it's not to say that in the future we move them up even more. And I was just like, you guys just keep running your claims, do your thing, but here's what I'm seeing. Here's the vision that I'm seeing, and I'm going to make a move. And I had the same conversation with my staff. I explained to them everything that I'm trying to do, that I'm bringing them along with me. It's just going to take a little time to transition them. But that's just my experience. I'm curious to know how your experience was.
Yeah, so uniquely for us, we actually had our best year in business ever in 2024.
Yeah, but you had that one big claim.
We had a really big claim that
Yeah.
really pushed the line for us, um, which made it a really great year. And um,
How much
so
is that claim for? If you don't mind sharing.
yeah, 5.2 million is what we settled at. It's actually still climbing a little bit. We've got a $600,000 supplement. Claims never die.
Yeah.
Um,
Never.
So it may end a little bit higher, but currently settled at 5.2. The supplement's coming in after it's a large roof. All the work's been done. They had to replace decking and insulation and stuff like that. So, but for us, I was really intentional about making sure that every one of my team members, who was really incredible, I felt like I had a dream team of people working with me. We had a field inspection team, a remote adjusting team, really great like internal staff to help manage the operations. And so for me, it was really important that, with this transition, that anybody who left, I set them up to the best of my ability, that they really couldn't leave and say anything bad about, what we had done and kind of ran at Hope. So our thought was to basically throw money, or my thought was to kind of throw money at it. And we did. So we set people up with severance packages, and also tried to help them find their next thing to the best of our ability that we could. And we had some really skilled and great people. So that's the approach that we took. All of ours were one-on-one meetings, and
Okay.
man, we're tough. Obviously, I had one guy that, was not so stoked. Everybody else was pretty understanding. And our move was very much so something that was not, we made this happen at the beginning of the year. So it was really like, January 3rd that we, made the move. But it was something that I had sat on since getting back from Everest Base Camp.
When did you get back?
I did that in October of 22. So it's
October of what?
of 22.
Okay.
So, really, really big decision, a hard one after, especially, I would say reaching a really difficult level in public adjusting. Sitting on the board of Appia, was a lot. It was a big learning, curve, and then also mastering the skill of public adjusting and working from, my first claim, which was probably a $20,000, claim that I thought was giant, all the way up to, our largest claim that we ever worked on, which was 12.2 million. And so a really big decision or shift, and honestly, a scary one, to jump from what and how you run it and doing it for so long into something that is just completely different and foreign. So a lot of thought and care went into, this is more talking of like vehicle of business and the type of business that you want to run, what kind of impact that business is going to have. And so put a lot of thought into those things, how we were going to impact and make a difference with, the team members that we're placing into businesses, helping them create opportunity, which kind of comes from the lessons of, mountaineering and going to these very like, impoverished and places that just don't have opportunity, which I would define as, I think opportunity is the acquisition of implementable skills. With those, you can do a lot for yourself and your family. So opportunity. And so we put a lot of thought of how we would create opportunity, but then also the needs of what we needed at Hope Public Adjusters, because to bring on a salesperson, it's really, really long cycle. You got like 4 months of paying somebody before they can actually start running. So we thought, how can we implement these skills for low cost with, US companies, but then have really high skill people. And that's basically what we've solved.
So the best thing that my business coach told me when I was going through this like thing of what I should do, because in the beginning of the year, I was all about, I'm just going to scale, elite resolutions. And I just knew in the back of my mind, like, first of all, for the last, I would say the reason why I started Commercial Claims Advocate in the YouTube show was to get away from claims so that I could figure out some kind of recurring revenue through courses and a book and so on and so forth. And even before that, I had gotten into traveling, and all I wanted to do was travel. And I had a travel vlog with my wife, and I was always trying to find a way out, because claims, forget about the inconsistent income, forget about the inconsistent cash flow, forget about all of that, which comes along with the territory. But on top of it, it's very, very stressful. Claims is just, it's always a fight. That's another thing that I'm happy to not be doing right now, is just constantly fighting and constantly arguing and, thinking of all these things to tell them so that I can prove my point. And what my business coach told me was really, really cool, where he says, I said, I don't know what to do. I've been doing this for 16 years. It's really all I know how to do, but I know business very well. And I'm thinking about doing this other thing, which in this case is business brokering, exit strategy. and I'm not really sure what to do. I feel like the writing's on the wall. Constantly legislation is changing, policies are getting tougher, there's more exclusions, there's more limitations. It's just like I haven't heard good news in so long. I'm afraid about where my industry's going. Like, have you ever gone through this? Was my question to my business coach. And he's like, mind you, my business coach is Dan Martell, multi zillionaire. And he's like, dude, yeah, of course. He's like, but it's up to you to make the shift. You're the CEO. You're the visionary. You have to see into the future. It is your job to see what's going on and to take your best members of your team and make that shift, because if not, then you as a visionary, you're leading them into what you're already seeing. So if you don't make that move and you don't make it, relatively fast, then you're not doing your job as a visionary. And I was just like, and then he compared BlackBerry couldn't make the shift, right? Netflix and a Blockbuster and stuff like that. Like, there's times where you're going to either make one of two things. In our case, it was a completely different business, or a lot of companies, they have a certain particular product that they put a lot of money into, and sometimes you just got to bail on that product because it's not working. You have to go into a different product. And I just thought it was the coolest thing. And I'm like, all right, cool. So like, this is common. Like, this happens. I thought it was just like, I thought I was bailing on something, and I thought I was bailing on people and bailing on an industry. But hey, man, if I see what's going on and I notice that this is a trend that's been happening for a while, I'm going to make a move. And I made a move. So it was great advice.
Man, it's really I love that story. I think I can relate to it in the sense of I mentioned we had another larger multi-million dollar claim in 2023. And we took those funds very intentionally and tried to build out a fire chasing sales team. Say fire chasing, not actually in the field, but we built out sales. We hired sales guys, and there was just a really long cycle for this, which we were intentional about and moved forward with. So we brought in some really amazing guys, and we got them licensed right away. We taught them absolutely nothing other than let's focus on getting licensed, let's pass the test, let's study for the exam. And so that was about a month and a half or so to get both guys licensed, and we brought in two at one time. And then after they got licensed, we started working with them on training on industry, general claim cycle, our target market, fires, the difference between a protein fire, small kitchen fire, a total loss fire, the coverages that live within those, structure, other structures, personal property, loss of use, and the problems that homeowners deal with or business owners deal with. That they a lot of times are just not aware that they're going to deal with them, but they're going to happen every single time. And so these really long training cycles. So it was right about like 4 or 5 months before the guys actually got up and started and running. And because those cycles are so long, the profits that we made from the first multi-million dollar claim, we basically invested back into the company. And we got this next. We had a lot of claims that were north of $1 million, but once you get 5, 6, 7, 8 million, they're significant. You can make some really big decisions in your business and really try to build out. So we settled or knew we were going to settle this next claim, and we had an idea of where that was going to land. And we made the decision, or I made the decision, not to go through the exact same cycle of investment in the business. And I look at it as opportunity, and just deciding what opportunity you're going to take, because you do have capital to keep investing and trying to build out this thing, or taking the opportunity and really thinking about like, well, what is my end goal? How do I want to spend my time? And, in these quadrants of life of like your physical being, your spiritual being, your educational self, and your family, and what does that really look like, and then is this vehicle going to get me there? And with public adjusting, like I said, there's a high, and there is a high to it of settling some really complex and technical claims. There's also a mountain that is built very quickly and a lot to tend to all of the time. It's a complex business, but it's also a profitable one. So it's there's very much a decision to be had, and especially if you are a younger public adjuster, or maybe you're not a younger public adjuster, you've been doing it for a while. I think there's a lot of intention that you can put into what you're building, how you're building it, and how you're structuring your firm.
What was the tipping point for you when you decided, you've got all this money from this large settlement, you're deciding to not particularly reinvest it into the company. You've got your team. I know you had a really, really nice, well-established sales team, really landing some pretty decent fires pretty consistently. What was the tipping point? What was it that you were just like, all right, it's time to make the move? When did you finally actually make that turn? And what was it? And what was it that did it? Was it like something? What was going on inside?
So all of those things are really great, and they're a side of the business. But in order to maintain those things, acquisition of large projects, expansion of territory to acquire large projects consistently, um, and then keeping up with claims. I made a joke earlier, like some claims never die because we're submitting an additional request for funds on a large project. But some claims never die because they just come back to life 3 years later, and there's an administrative thing that you have to do, and a file gets requested, and oh, this homeowner needs the receipts that they sent you 6 years ago for whatever reason, who knows. And so there's a lot of managerial responsibilities that um, I was feeling like, especially with managing a big team, that if I stepped away for 2 hours, my mountain was just like, man, I got 70 emails again. I've got, it's a lot of that administrative side. And I had a pretty unique experience going through a program called Legacy Day Experience, where they really, really put into focus. I had this experience at the end of 2024. I don't want to dig too deep into what the experience was, because it was really, really impactful for anybody that's looking for like how I'm spending my time, really getting serious with yourself. Legacy Day Experience. And it made a really big shift for me. It gave me a little bit of space to question the things that I was doing. I had this inkling since Everest of like, man, am I still enjoying the business? Am I still liking the build of the firm? I do enjoy public adjusting, the actual act of adjusting working claims. But that's a job. That's not like a business that you're running. And so that shift came for me at the end of 2024. And that's where I made the hard decision of, man, I'm going to start shutting down my public adjusting firm and take the skill set and apply it somewhere else. And it has a lot to do with time, having young kids, wanting to be able to step away for 2 hours and kind of lose this lingering feeling that like, oh, there's something I got to do. I got to hop back into this. I'm sure that feeling's familiar to you and a lot of other entrepreneurs. I don't know if I'd call it anxiety, but it's like the shadow that's over your shoulder.
I think there's a couple things that I think about when you say that. I mean, I think in any business, and public adjusting as well. I mean, I think it comes down to, I don't think that's so much of a public adjusting thing. I think that's just an entrepreneur thing where we constantly feel like we have to do something. I've had several awakening moments in my life, in particular in my entrepreneurial journey, but definitely the most recent one is just sometimes it's okay to take a pause. It's okay to take a break. A lot of times if there is an empty space in our calendar, we just find something to do, because it's something that we could be doing. There's always a new operation that we could be putting together. There's always a new document we could put together. There's always a follow-up. I think it's okay. I think people need to realize that it's okay to take a break. I will tell you, I just finished a 7-day cleanse. Very, very, very strict diet. The first 2 days are super, super strict. No coffee. I'm probably under, those first 2 days, I'm probably under 300 or 400 calories. Like, it's like crazy, right? So day 2, I was out of it. I texted my assistant. I said, I'm done. I'm not feeling well. And I just laid down, and I didn't want to. I wanted to stop myself, and I wanted to keep working, but I just told myself it was okay. And I think it's okay sometimes because the problem is social media, really just all these inspiring things and motivational things and this and that makes you want to push more, which that's all great and all, but there's times where you got to listen to your body, you have to listen to yourself. And I do think in any business, if you set it up right, which is I know what we've learned, and it's also where we'll bring it Edge now into the advantage of hiring Edge and everything that Edge offers. But if you could set yourself up with the right people to help you in those places. For me, what I've learned is email and calendar. First things that need to go. Like you need to get those out of your life, at least to a minimal level. Calendar is out of my life, and email, I literally check 1 or 2 emails a day now. Like because she filters through it and she gives me what I need. And then even the ones that I do respond to, I tell her next time this is how you should respond to it. So I do think if you put people in the right place, it can remove yourself a little bit. And I think where it also gets a little bit confused for some entrepreneurs is just like, okay, well, but then I'm not working. It's like, no, like if you want to scale a business, you have to have time to actually think on the business. If you're constantly working in it, like I tell people, my best ideas are on vacation every single time. My best ideas come when I'm on vacation and I'm not working. That's because it's the first time you're not working in the day-to-day grind. So tell me what you think of that, but also let's get into Edge and how Edge could actually help some of these entrepreneurs, particular public adjusters, which is still a large amount of my audience, how we could get some help for them so that they're not just constantly struggling.
I try to think back to when I didn't use a block schedule, or like I didn't fully understand what it was. Um, I had a business coach at the time. They were not great at explaining what the block schedule was. It was a bigger organization. But they were trying to teach it, and it took me a long time to figure out what it actually was, this like mysterious block schedule thing. And I went through these different evolutions of how we used a block schedule. At first, it was I just had big blocks on entire days. Like I'm going to do estimating all day here.
No.
I'm going to do sales here. I'm going to do inspections this whole day, and that was like my block scheduling. And that morphed over time. The blocks got smaller and more specific, which is what block scheduling actually is. It's the elimination of a task list and integration into your block schedule. So instead of estimating, we have Miss Smith's estimate for an hour and a half, exactly how much time we're going to be working on the schedule, no more or no less. At first, we had a little bit of Murphy, but now like we've done the thing, we know how much time it takes. So we may have Miss Smith's estimate, and then we need to call Paul, and then Miss Rodriguez's estimate for 20 minutes, and then we have lunch, and then we have so it's this very powerful tool or task list that isn't just your tasks, but how much time you're going to spend on the item and for how long. And then what that allows you to do is plan out your week or 2 weeks or, month or even year. We're planning out, and we've revisited this on a monthly basis, but we have annual planning, quarterly planning, monthly planning, and then weekly reviews of our block schedule, where it's really, really managed. And then we've started to take block scheduling to the next level and integrating Loom with our block schedules. So we teach this to our team members, which we'll get into. But Loom recording the entire day. So within those block schedules, so with the examples I gave, Loom recording Miss Smith's estimate, and then saving that recording in the details of the calendar, and then recording the call with Paul, and then recording the call or the estimate building for Miss Rodriguez's estimate. And what that does is a couple of things. It creates an SOP for you. So there's a belief that as soon as you create an SOP and put it on the shelf, that document starts to decay, right? So the process changes, the program updates, whatever. And then you have to go back and update the SOP. Well, instead, they live on the block schedule and they're always up to date because the person who's responsible, there's a recording of how they did it the last time. It's also a means of,
How do you Loom the whole day?
you break them up. So you would record while you're screen record, while you're building the estimate, right? And it's not polished. It's not, now I'm clicking this button. You can see what you're doing. So like,
Well, I make sure if anybody does a Loom, they have to talk their way through the entire process, whatever it is that they're doing.
Yeah, we teach that it's unnecessary because if you're looming everything, like they can see your screen, they can understand what you're clicking as long as they're watching, like it makes sense.
No,
Uh,
I tell my staff like you gotta teach your way through it.
better. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's probably better. Um, but this does a lot of things for that regard. So if your staff or in our case, your virtual assistant is building an estimate, but it took them 3 hours and it should have taken an hour and a half. Well, now you can watch what they did on 2X instead of scheduling it next
Oh yeah.
time. You can just go back to the last time they did it, fix the problem very quickly, and the rate of decision making, increases, which helps the growth of the business.
I didn't tell me more about the block scheduling that you said. Can you break that down a little bit further? You said you don't do blocks anymore. You actually just make it as like specific tasks in a
Yeah.
way.
So they're all
That's not block scheduling.
Yeah, it's the next level of block scheduling.
Okay.
Um, so there is no task list. Task list just doesn't exist in the company. We all use block schedules. We use Google. Some people are on Microsoft that we work with. I think it's wrong, but
I
some
don't
people
like
are.
it either. I'm with you. Google all
And
the way.
joke there, but so we use Google. With Google, I can click out of my schedule and I could click into different team members, Alana's or Mario's or Adriana's schedule. And everybody on the team has a block schedule where their task list lives on their calendar. So every one of their tasks is represented in a different block with how much time they're going to spend on that task, no more and no less. What that does is if their calendar is not full, it's a way for me to keep a pulse on a remote team because we're not all in the same office. You can't peek your head in. Like, what are you doing? But you can do that with a block schedule. So, what are we working on? How long are we working on it? What priorities have we set for this week and next? And what free time do you have? Meaning, what space do you have for additional responsibilities to be handed over? Um,
Do they fill it out on a day-to-day basis, or is it filled out the week before?
yes. So
Like if today I'm gonna work on this estimate, and then they add it to the calendar, and then they work on it, or is it already in the calendar at least from the morning of or the day before?
Yeah, so the block schedule changes probably 15 times a day.
Got it.
You run 15 minutes late on an estimate, so you'd fix your block schedule, you just drag it down for what you're able to accomplish. Anything that's not accomplished in the day, you only have so much time. So that's where the block schedule is powerful because you can schedule your beginning and end times. And there's only so much window. So if you're scheduling out how much time it needs, well, you know that some of that's going to live for tomorrow or the next day. You probably knew that you had to build Miss Smith's estimate since last Thursday, but you didn't have time until Wednesday this week. So it was on for Wednesday because that was the first availability that you had. But then you got in, the morning meeting ran a little bit late. So you adjusted. Now you only have a little bit less time to build the estimate. Everything else kind of shifts around it. And that's why the calendar is living and breathing, but it's your task list. It's what you're working off of. And that's something that
That's awesome.
yeah.
How can you help? How do you guys help other business owners? Because in particular, you guys help roofers and public adjusters, right?
Yeah. So what we do at Edge, that was a total rabbit hole on block scheduling. I love the topic.
That's okay. I know you do. It's not the first time we've talked about it either. I know, and I still don't get it, but it's I like it. I can imagine what the calendar looks like because Google Calendar already looks insane. I do blocks. I do. Actually, I just brought on. So I remember I told you about the shift that we're making. So one of my admins at Elite Resolutions is still handling checks and stuff like that. But again, I'm like you. I personally have not signed a single claim this year. So we have, I moved her as my executive assistant. Shout out Mariana, the best. Follow her on Instagram. I told her she's got to start posting more. And what was I going to say? Literally just yesterday, she sent me an email. I said, "Hey, I need 50% of my schedule to be towards sales. Like for at least the next 2 weeks to a month. Like I need 50% of my days to be towards sales." So she's like, "Oh, why don't we do this, this, this?" So we changed up the block a little bit. So she's got it all blocked out, and then she'll put it all in there. And it's not so much task. It's just mainly the block schedule, to be
Which
honest.
in a way is that task. So like sometimes that
Yeah.
may be the case of like I have these windows where I'm going to go down my list and that's the activity. Um, so I think that's great. And then your question was, what do we do at Edge?
Yeah.
So we take the skill set of technical approach to claims, and we're applying it to what we do here. So we recruit full-time team members to place into roofing companies, public adjusting firms, general contractors in that space, and we train them long term. So we place a 40-hour work week person. We place skilled people, skilled roles. So nobody we place is entry level into the workforce. And a lot of placement agencies do that, right? They source and place low cost talent into businesses. What makes us different is our skill set and how we implement training. So like we're a placement agency, but really we're a training company.
You mentioned that.
Yep. So we train the people that we place long term. I've seen that some agencies, like they train prior to placement and they go through like a week of training. Like you and I both know that like you aren't going to know anything after a week of training. You may have a little bit of directional orientation, but like that's about it. So we host weekly training calls for estimating, supplementing, claim support. We do place some salespeople, so we have sales practice calls. Our team members that we place can book one-on-one time with our training department. And then we also have an Edge Academy that our team members can access at any time. And it's basically recordings of trainings that we've ran. So we are strapping the team members that we place onto this rocket ship of development so that every single week they're improving their skill set, whether that's estimating, comparing their estimate to the adjuster's estimate, figuring out the differences, figuring out how to document those differences for submission, eliciting a response from the adjuster or the supervisors, or climbing the ladder. And so that's been what's really been powerful. That's the cool part about what we're building at Edge, as we're a training company, and that's how we're really helping roofing companies and public adjusting firms grow. And it's the offset of time. Our experience, my experience with hiring team members is that development, especially in public adjusting, is never ending. You hire, you spend time training, they don't really get it, so you train them a little bit more. The process changes, so you train a little bit more. And so Edge basically takes that off of the plate.
So are you training like is your Edge virtual assistants training their admins?
So we place full-time people. So it's not our admins. Our training department is actually ran by one of the public adjusters that worked at our.
Got it.
So it's an actual licensed public adjuster who, prior to being a public adjuster, he's been a PA for like 4 years now. Worked with insurance companies. So he actually came from working at multiple different insurance companies prior to hopping the fence over to the PA side. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. And how does it work? How does it work for someone if they're interested in actually, bringing somebody on? And do I need to have a need first, or is there what's your ideal customer or client? Like who's going to benefit most from an Edge virtual assistant?
Yeah, so we technically place a lot of roles, like content creators and
nice.
In-house bookkeepers, but like our specialty is our skill set, which is like technical claims. So that's the role that we place the most with companies, is that estimator, supplementer, claim support role. And so usually when companies have a need, they are reaching out to us, or we're connecting kind of somewhere in the middle, and identifying this need. Usually that need is our claims are taking forever. State Farm, you can't talk to anybody now. They like put you on hold for 45 minutes, and then you get a voicemail of somebody, and then they don't check their voicemail or call back or respond to emails. It's the rabbit hole of State Farm. I got a bunch of
All state too.
But so claims are taking too long. The team is just like, they're selling more, but in the field, maybe they're subbing out their estimates and they're paying like 1% for an estimate. There's just a lot of different needs. So they're essentially, what we're offering is you're bringing estimating in-house, you're bringing supplementing in-house, you're bringing the ability to pursue claims more rapidly, like the squeaky wheel gets the grease approach. Um, and then offering a lot of technical skill set with that of, um, how do you actually build a smart estimate with like detailed notes? How do you really put together a burden of proof package to submit into the insurance company for like proving the loss? And what does great look like there? How do you simplify it for the adjuster? But yeah, and then working with us is, kind of just like you would imagine. We go through a cycle of, figuring out the needs of the business. They sign up with us and they onboard a team member that's been trained by Edge. Then that team member has access to our different vehicles of training that we offer long term.
What makes you different than another virtual assistant company?
Yeah. So what's really cool about what we're doing is we're the only company that's doing this, um, because we're really the only guys in the market that can. There are no other companies that are public adjusters that have acquired and settled multiple multi-million dollar losses. And not just me, but a lot of the adjusters on my team that have worked on, multiple multi-million dollar losses. Um, Justin, who's part of our sales team, Kevin, who's part of our training, runs our training department. So we've got this really, really unique talent to invest in these team members that we place. And we don't really look at ourselves as a placement agency. We look at ourselves as a training company. And so that's what we're optimizing for, is how do we invest and upskill more rapidly into the team members that we place. And so that's what makes us a little bit different.
I love it, man. I'm excited for you. You and I talk pretty often. I'm very excited for you. I'm excited for what I've got going on as well. I think it takes a lot of balls to look that far into the future and make very tough decisions. But at the end of the day, we have to do what's right for ourselves. We have to do what's right for our families. And whether it's a good decision or not really doesn't make a difference. In the grand scheme of things, any decision we're going to make will be fine. And I have yet to know somebody that couldn't get past a difficult situation. Eventually, you get past it, you figure it out. And I'm so excited for you. I'm really honored to call you a friend. And I'm really freaking excited about January and us climbing up that mountain, man.
Yeah. It's going to be cold.
What?
It's going to be super cold,
No, it's the summertime there. Okay? It's not going to be that bad.
but we'll get to the top. Yeah. And I really appreciate you having me on. Happy to hopefully share some lessons of running the public adjusting firm, running the business with others, and hopefully an impact with somebody else, and spreading a little bit of awareness of what we're working on now.
Whenever you want, invite is open. I'll talk to Jeremy Lavelle. He's our Wednesday claims coach, but you're more than welcome to come on for a session to not only promote your company, but also, teach the mastermind a little something. We
Awesome,
meet every
man.
Monday and Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. So I'm gonna talk to Jeremy about that.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, man. I'll definitely do that.
All right, Cole. Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Vince.